You should really be considering what's realistic for you and looking at things like affordability, because what the bank would actually lend you versus what you're comfortable repaying can be very different things. So usually a good place to start is looking at how much rent you pay and then working your way backwards from there, looking at what that looks like as a home loan, and then also taking into consideration additional things that you don't pay as a renter, so things like strata fees and obviously rates. So those are things that you want to put into your calculations. You really want to sit down with an advisor early on, so coming to see someone like us to understand where you sit financially is quite important, because that means that you can go out realistically into the market and understand what you want to be looking at. Another thing to consider would be to tidy up your finances. So cancel those unnecessary subscriptions, look at your credit card, try and clear it out, get rid of it, and make sure that you know exactly what you're spending on a day-to-day basis so that you can be comfortable with adding a mortgage repayment to that. When you look at your home loan repayment, you want to look at how much you're going to need to borrow, but also looking at things that you probably wouldn't normally think of when calculating out how much you are going to borrow. So starting with your purchase price, you also need to include things like legal costs, stamp duty, rates adjustments, strata adjustment, or perhaps a building and pest report when you're calculating that out, and then take away your deposit from that, and that'll give you a realistic loan that you will end up with. You want to then also look at whether or not you're eligible for any grants, particularly as a first home buyer. There are concessions on stamp duty and also guarantee schemes that the federal government runs that allows home buyers to get into their home a lot quicker than waiting for a 20% deposit. So a home loan calculator gives you the ability to input what you've ended up with as a loan amount and look at current interest rates and how much then a repayment on that is going to look like. We've got one on our website that allows you to input that data and also then break it down into monthly, fortnightly or weekly, depending on how you budget. Will depend on what's going to be most useful for you, but it'll give you that ability to understand exactly what it's going to look like on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis. Taking on a home loan or a mortgage is quite a big task, so making sure that you are comfortable is really important. So going and seeing an advisor who's an expert in the field can be really helpful, because it can be quite daunting trying to understand the entire process from beginning to end. So it is important that you seek advice and understand exactly what you're going forward with such a large amount of money. Particularly for those out there that are first home buyers, it can be quite scary, so we try and take as much of the guesswork out of it for you as possible.